Christina with Bubblegum Paper, and I am back with another card in my 25 Cards in 25 Days holiday card series. I'll put a link to the playlist here in the upper right corner so you can see all the previous cards I've made. Today I'm here with a very late card number 7. I'm actually posting it on day number 8. I'm featuring products from Simon Says Stamp, Mama Elephant, and Lawn Fawn. Here's a close-up of the card I'm about to make. And here's what the inside looks like. It's a festive party inside. And let's get started. The products I'm using are the Lunar Animals and Jingle Greetings from Mama Elephant, the Gifts of Love and the Stitched Rectangles from Simon Says Stamp, and the Baaah Humbug wood grain backdrops and stitched hillside pop-up dies from Lawn Fawn. So I will warn you, there is a lot of stamping in this card and a lot of coloring as well. That's partly why it was late. So I finished making this card yesterday after work, and by the time I was done, it was so crazy late and I was super tired, so I would have sounded so sleepy if I was doing the voiceover. So I decided to wait and then do the voiceover this morning instead. So here I'm taking a bunch of the lunar animals from Mama Elephant and I'm stamping them on this card. And I wanted the cow to face 2 different directions. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a flat stamp. This is the wood grain backdrop from Lawn Fawn. And then I'm stamping the cow on the back on the smooth side of that stamp. And then I am stamping that down onto the paper. So I'll do it again here. I always do this twice to see which one's better. So I'm stamping it down and it turns out the first one is actually better than the second one. I'm also stamping a bunch of presents and Santa hats from the Lawn Fawn Baaah Humbug stamp set. I didn't know how many presents I wanted, so I stamped a bunch of them. And then for the Santa hats, I decided I was going to have the 4 older siblings wear the Santa hats because the birthday boy and girl are my 2 youngest aunt and uncle. And so it's their birthday, and I thought they would be wearing birthday hats. Then I'm adding a bunch of hearts because who doesn't like hearts? Next, I'm taking a Post-it note and I'm stamping 2 stacks of presents on them. And I'm using this as a mask. So it's okay that you saw me drop the stamp block. Again, it was late at night. I dropped the stamp block, but it's okay because this is just a mask. I can get it as messy as I want. Then I'm just going in with my scissors and cutting both of these out. Next, I'm taking a standard A2 size card and I'm stamping the present in the center, and I'm using one of those masks, and now I'm going to stamp 2 more stacks of presents on the left and right side. And when you're doing masking, you want the item that you want in the front to be covered by the mask. That way you can do layered stamping. The last thing I'm doing is adding the Gifts of Love sentiment to the front as well. Next, I'm doing the same thing with the inside of the card. I'm taking another A2 size piece of paper and I am stamping the present right in the center. And then I'm going to stamp the stack of presents slightly off to the right and slightly off to the left. They're about a 1/2 inch apart. I'm just using the guides on my Fisker stamp press to help me line these up. And I'm using the guides on my craft mat as well. Then I'll take those masks and cover 2 stacks at a time. And then I'm going to stamp right in the center of that. And then I'll move the left one over to the right side and then I'll stamp it again. So now I have 5 stacks of presents all lined up. So then I'm going to go in and do some Copic coloring. So I was debating what types of colors to use for this. I didn't know, since it was a birthday card, if I should go with rainbow colors or stick with my typical pink and aqua color scheme. And then I remembered a comment on one of my earlier YouTube videos where a very sweet, nice person said, you should stick with red and green. That's more traditional colors. So Stephanie, I am listening to you, and here are more traditional colors for this entire card. So I'm using a series of reds and greens. The coloring is pretty basic, so I'm just doing some rough coloring. And then on the inside, I actually wanted to keep these presents more of a background. So I'm using a bunch of different cool grays, and I'm just going to color the presents in all pretty much the same style. They're all going to be shades of gray, and this way they won't take away from all of the fun lunar animals that I will color afterwards. So before I start coloring the lunar animals, I'm going to take that mirror imaged cow stamp and I'm just using my Copic multi-liner and tracing around it. So it's not as smooth as an actual stamp, but it'll work for the purposes of this card. And then for all of the lunar animals, I'm coloring them in the red and green color scheme as well, which I know there is no such thing as a red cow or a green cow, and there probably isn't a green monkey lying around, and pigs aren't this red, but I'm sticking with that red and green color scheme. So I am going to set the rest of the coloring to some music, and I will be back at the end. So next I'm going to take the coordinating dies, and I'm cutting out all of those lunar animals, and I'm also cutting out all of the little cute Santa hats and the presents, and I have to run this through several times because I stamped so many hats and presents. Now for that extra cow, the one that was mirror stamped, I'm actually die cutting from the back side. So I'm holding it up to the light and lining it up. That way, when I cut it out, it's perfectly aligned. Next, I'm taking the inside front of the card, these gray presents, and the front of the card, the red and green presents, and I'm using the largest Simon Says stamp stitched rectangle die to cut out those panels. And then the last thing I'm die cutting is the Lawn Fawn stitched hillside pop-up die, which is super fun as well. Next, I'm taking this super fun festive candy cane stripe paper from Echo Park, and I'm cutting it down so it's A2 size, which is 4¼ inches tall by 5½ inches wide. Then I want to add some sparkle to the front of my presents, so I'm using my Wink of Stella clear brush pen, and I'm just adding some clear glitter sparkle goodness to the front of that. And then I'm going to take my standard Tombow adhesive tape runner, running that over the back of the card and taping that panel to the front. And then the same thing with the gray presents, I'm doing the same thing and adding those to the stripe paper. Now this gray paper is actually a little bit taller, like maybe at 1/16 of an inch when you fold it, so I'm taking my paper trimmer and just trimming off a very skinny sliver so that it doesn't show when I fold it over. And then I'm folding that in, and now this could totally be a finished card right here. Like, you don't need to do anything else. It's just gifts of love, open it up, more gifts, and you could be done. But no, I had to go further and make this a fun festive card, which added, I don't know, maybe another hour of creativity time last night. So I'm taking this stitched hillside pop-up die, and I'm just scoring it at the score marks and lining it up to the inside bottom panel. And then I'm adding some glue to these little tabs, and I'm folding the card over. And then when you open it up, it's like a pop-up. So these little snowy hills pop up. And next I'm taking all of those lunar animals and all my mini hats, and I'm just adding some liquid adhesive on the back of them. I decided to alternate the colors, so for all the green animals they're wearing red hats, and for all the red animals they're wearing green hats. And this glue dries pretty well, so it holds everything in place and it dries pretty quickly. Then I'm taking my Wink of Stella and making all of the animals sparkle. I'm pretty sure I have a Wink of Stella pen in green and red as well, but I can't find it anywhere, so I had to stick with my clear. And now for some foam adhesive. So I'm going to add some foam adhesive full strips to the backs of the pig and the monkey. And they are going to stand in the background against the inside card panel directly. And then for the dragon and the green cow, I'm adding the foam adhesive just to the bottoms only because they will hang out over that hill, so I don't want them to be super sticky and glued to the back. And then for the two birthday boy and girl for my aunt and uncle, I am putting them up front. And my Aunt Lorraine, you've seen me do a card for her from, I want to say from May or so. She is the superstar of the family. She's the one who loves to cook and has all these hobbies. So I decided to take one of those tree stumps from card number 6 and place that in front so that she can be elevated on a stage because, she always tells me that every generation has a superstar in their family, and she is the superstar of her generation, and I'm the superstar of mine. And so we, like to elevate each other and put ourselves on pedestals all the time. I know we're super cheesy. We're very similar. And so I decided to add those, and then I took a bunch of the presents and just scattered them all over. So I put presents in front of the little monkey because he looked like he should be holding something, and then I placed a present in front of the dragon. And now I'm taking all those little hearts and I'm sprinkling them with some Wink of Stella and adding them to just randomly adding them to the inside of the card. So I cut out 5 hearts total, so I'm taking the 2 remaining hearts and I decided to add them to the front of the card. So I'm using the same liquid glue and just carefully applying it to the backs of the hearts, and this one needed a little bit more glue. So here is the card, and then when you flip it over and open it up, it's a happy party inside. So happy birthday, Shiao Jiu Jiu and Ailu. I hope you had a wonderful birthday. Here are 2 close-ups of the finished card. You can see the outside and then you can see the party on the inside. Thank you all so much for watching another card in my 25 Cards in 25 Days card series. If you're interested in more videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. You can follow me on social media at Bubblegum Paper or visit my blog at bubblegumpaper.com. Here are links to 2 more recent videos, cards number 5 and 6. You can just click on the images and it'll take you straight to the videos. See you soon. Bye.